if a person goes and has relations, is violation of a chayve krisus, has relations with his sister, and has liability of koris, but you get malchus, right? So it says in the Mishnah, a person goes and he rapes his sister, he has to pay knas. So we have a difficulty, but factually, but if there's malchus, we say lo kavein mishalim. Rabbi Yochanan rules la halacha lo kavein mishalim. You get malchus, you don't pay. But yet the Mishnah says you pay the knas and you don't get malchus. So we gave him many answers. Either it's speaking where he didn't have hasra, he wasn't forewarned. You can only get malchus if you're forewarned. If you're not forewarned, you don't get malchus. So maybe the Mishnah is speaking where really, according to one opinion, you pay and you don't get malchus. And the Mishnah malchus, which says you get malchus, is speaking where she was a bageris. She was fully mature. She was beyond 12 and a half. So in that case, he had relations with his sister. So what does he do? He gets malchus. Okay. Reish Loksham Hamoni Remehi. Our Mishnah, how do we reconcile with Mishnah? Our Mishnah says you pay knas, and the Mishnah malchus says you get malchus. So how do you reconcile the two Mishnahs? Gemara says no. Reish Lakish says Hamoni Remehi. We're on 2 dots on 33b. Remehi, Diyama Loka Mishal. Remehi is of the opinion that you get malchus and you pay. You get both. Gemara says Iremeya Afil Bitonami. So if that's the case, the Mishnah says the person has relations with his daughter. What happens? He doesn't, right? He doesn't pay knas. Malchus and moment you have, meaning lashes and money, but if it's a question of death, but father has relations with his daughter, he deserves what? He deserves to be put to death. So we have principle kimle v'dramine. Whenever you have the death penalty and a lesser offense, you're absolved from the lesser. Below, someone says no. For Tanya, we learned in the Brayso, if a person steals and he slaughters the animal on Shabbos. Normally, if you steal a sheep or an ox, what's the Torah says? You pay dal day. You pay penalty 4 or 5 times the value of sheep or the ox. Correct? So it says in the Brayso, what happens if he goes and he steals and he slaughters it on Shabbos, or he slaughters it for avodah zarah, for idolatry? Okay. Gonav sharan niskal utfocho, where he steals a sharan niskal and he slaughters it. Misham tashlumi abarov chamish de Remeir. Remeir says you pay 4 or 5. There's the death penalty. So you see, Remeir holds that when we deal with the death penalty, you pay the penalty. So if that's the case, why does it say now Mishnah Baal Bito that if he has relations with his daughter, he does not pay knas? We see Remeir holds that you say mishalim even with misa. Atim Maris Ho Itmar Allah Amr Reb Yaakov Amr Reb Yochanan Amr Lo Amr Reb Yirmi Amr Reb Shimon Ben Lakish Rebov Reb Lo Kol Chavrused Mishmei de Reb Yochanan Amr B'Tovech Al Yidei Acher. Now normally we had this in Kedushin. Normally we say in Shlich Dvar Aveira. If you commission an agent to steal, the one who commissioned the agent, although we normally have a principal agency, but in the context of transgression, the act of the agent is not attributed to the one who appointed him, except there's some exceptions. One of the exceptions is a person steals, and then he goes appoint somebody to slaughter the animal. Steals a sheep, he tells somebody to slaughter the sheep. So even though slaughtering sheep is a Torah violation because it's stolen, nevertheless, the act of slaughtering is attributed to the thief. The thief has to pay dal v'heg. So what are we speaking about over here? A person himself steals, then another person goes and slaughters it on Shabbos. Slaughters it on Shabbos. So the act, he's not, if he would slaughter on Shabbos, Rameir would agree, what's the halacha? You would not pay the penalty, because whenever you have the more severe and the less severe, you're absolved from the less severe. So what is this? If the father has relations with his daughter, he doesn't pay knas, because since it carries the death penalty absolves you from any lesser liability. But the case where Rameir says where he stole a sheep or an ox and had it slaughtered on Shabbos of avodah zarah, what's it speaking about? Not where he himself did the slaughtering on Shabbos, but he delegated through an agent. So since it's through an agent, the agent is liable for the death penalty, but who's the action attributed to? It's attributed to the who? To the what? To the thief. Yeah. We have a principle of Eichlich Varavero. Omar Rova, Omar Rachmona, Tvocho Mechoro. Just as when you sell something, the thief is liable for dalvei if he slaughters or he sells it. When you sell it, you have to have another party involved, correct? So that even though if the slaughtering comes through a third party, the liability of that act of slaughtering is attributed to the thief. The Rabbis shlich. It could have said tvocho umecharo. The word o is superfluous. The o comes tell me could be done through a shliach. V'chizkio tono tachas l'Rabbis shliach. It says tachas. The word tachas is superfluous to tell me that although normally we say ain't shlich dvar aveiro, but dalvei we learn shlich yesh shlich dvar. Masked lo mezutra b'yikom mididi lo ovad iu lo mechayev ovad shlich mechayev. Do we find such a thing? If he do it himself, he's not liable. But if a third party does it, he is liable. Somewhere says, factually he is chayiv. If he does it himself, he is liable. The court cannot enforce the decision because when they enforce the death penalty, it's an absolvement. A liability, there is a lesser liability. So there's less liability. So why does he pay the liability? Because since he's being put to death. So therefore, if he doesn't have the greater liability, the action of the agent is attributed to what? To the thief. Someone asks, my timey de Rabbanon, the Patri? That was a phenomenal question. If it's with learning Remeir, the reason why he holds you pay is because it was delegated through a third party. The third party slaughtered on Shabbos, or third party slaughtered for Avodah Zarah. So therefore, the act of slaughtering is attributed to the thief. So what did the Chacham say? You don't pay. You should pay, right? Because it's a context. We're not saying Kim Leim Dramine. On that word it says Man Chachomim Reb Shimoni. We're on top of Lamed Daled. Now the question is like this: when the Torah says you slaughter it, let's say a thief steals a sheep, yeah, and rather than slaughtering it, he goes and he just he decapitates the animal. Is he liable for slaughtering? It's not slaughtering. Decapitation is not slaughtering. Here's an act of shchita. Now what's shchita? If shchita means just go through the motions of shchita, or shchita means something that you could eat. Shchita has to bring about that you're permitted to eat the animal. We'll see there's an argument. A shchita, she'eina ruya, a shchita which does not bring about the ability to eat it, the Torah says that's not classified as shchita. So the Chacham, the reason why I say you potter, because that's not considered slaughter. Slaughtering is only considered slaughtering if you're permitted to eat it. Rishini, de'oma shchita, she'eina ruya lo shmo shchita. A shchita which does not bring about the result is that you're permitted to eat it. Torah says that's not called shchita. No. Because it was slaughtered on Shabbos. Because Shabbos was vile, or it was brought for idolatry. Now, idolatrous korban animal, you're not permitted to eat. Shchita she'eina ruya lo shmo shchita. So good. If something's brought as idolatry, you're not permitted to eat it because you're not permitted to benefit from it. V'shor hadiniskal, also an animal that was judged to be stoned, you're not permitted to benefit from it. That's why you're not permitted to eat it. El shchita Shabbos, shchita ruyi. But an animal that's slaughtered on Shabbos, you're permitted to eat. Listen, as we learned the Mishnah, shochet b'Shabbos Yom Kippurim. A person goes and slaughters an animal on Shabbos and Yom Kippur. Afal b'Shem Nischai ben Nafsho. Although he's liable for the death penalty, shchitos sheira, you're permitted to eat it. So if that's the case, if you tell me the reason why you potter is because you're not permitted to eat it, that's good for Avodah Zarah, and that's good for what? For Sharan Yisco, where the animal originally killed and the verdict was stoning. But Shochet b'Shabbos, it's a Shechita Ruya because it says explicitly in the Mishnah, the person slaughters on Shabbos Yom Kippur, although the person is liable for the death penalty, you're permitted to eat from the animal. Sovalok Reb Yochanan Sandler. So that Gemara says the Chachamim, Reb Shimon holds like Reb Yochanan Sandler. The Tanya, Reb Yochanan Sandler, Hamavashel b'Shabbos b'Shogeg. Person inadvertently cooks on Shabbos. Yochal. The halacha is Yochel, you're permitted to eat the food. The Mezid lo Yochel. That's what Remeir. Remeir holds it b'Shogeg, you're permitted to eat, but on deliberate, you're not permitted. Review Domeh b'Shogeg Yochal l'Motzei Shabbos. If it's done inadvertently, Shabbos you're not permitted. Motzei Shabbos, yes. The Mezid lo Yochal Olobis, you're never permitted to eat it if it's done deliberately. There's all penalties, rabbinical penalties. Yochanan Sadlo Meir, no. B'Shogeg Yochel l'Motzei Shabbos. If you slaughter it inadvertently on Shabbos, you could eat Motzei Shabbos. La'acherim, for someone else. V'lo lo b'mezid. But if he does it deliberately, lo yochal, lo lomis, lo lo v'lo la'acherim. You hear this? If he slaughters it deliberately, nobody's permitted ever to eat it. So we're speaking about he was shochat b'Shabbos, deliberately, not b'Shogeg. And therefore, it's Shchita Sheina Ruya. If you're of opinion, Shchita Sheina Ruya Shmosh, if you hold, even if you can't eat it, as long as you did a proper Shchita, it's called Shchita, that's Rameir, that's why you pay Dal Vehei. But according to the Chacham, who's Reb Shimon holds, a Shchita Sheina Ruya, Shchita that you cannot eat from, is not classified as a Shchita, because he holds like Reb Yochanan Sandler. My time, Reb Yochanan Sandler. What does Reb Yochanan Sandler say? If something's done deliberately, one knows that Shabbos deliberately slaughters, nobody can benefit from that animal. As Reb Chia had lectured on the entrance of the house of the Nosi, it says, Ushmartim sa Shabbos, you have to observe the Shabbos, ki kodesh hi lochem. What do you have to, this week's parsha, what do you have to observe the Shabbos? Ki kodesh hi lochem. Right? Because Shabbos is holy for you. Ma kodesh osa be'achilo, if something's consecrated, you're not permitted to eat it. Af masa Shabbos asur ba'achilo. Identically, one who does the act, one who violates the Shabbos, you're not permitted to benefit from the result of that violation, because it's like Kodesh. Versus Ima Kodesh Osbano, Hafmaisa Shabbos Osbano. If that's the case, just Shabbos, just as Kodesh, you're not permitted to benefit, not only not eat. So we should say Masi Shabbos, even according to Reb Yochanan Sandler, you should not be able to benefit from it. Torah says Talmud Lochem. Shelochem Yehi. That the fact is, Torah says no, it's limited to not permitted to eat, but you're permitted to benefit. Yochla fil b'shogeg. If that's the case, maybe even b'shogeg. Why are we saying only b'mezid? If we're comparing it to Kodesh, even b'shogeg. Talmud lo mechaleh mos yumos. When does it take on the status of Kodesh? That's only if it has liability to death penalty. Because it says in the pasuk, the person who violates the Shabbos is mos yumos. When are you liable for the death penalty? B'mezid amarti lo b'shogeg. This is how Rabbi Yochanan Sandler learns. Therefore, if it's done b'mezid, it's not permitted not him for anybody else. Therefore, Reb Shimon holds, since Reb Shimon holds, shchita she'ein ruya lo shmo shchita, a shchita that you're not permitted to eat from is not classified as a valid shchita. Therefore, there's no liability of dal v'hei. Pligibo Ravach Ravina. There's none Ravach Ravina. Charom Masu Shabbos Doraisa. One says, if you, not that you're not permitted to benefit from, but you're not permitted to eat something that was done deliberately on Shabbos, it's Nisa Doraisa on a Torah level. Charom Midrabonon. The other one says, no, it's only rabbinical. On a Torah level, even a person deliberately violates Shabbos, you're permitted to benefit from what you cook, what you slaughter, everything else. Mandi Doraisa, the one who says that it's a Torah violation, that if you violate Shabbos deliberately, you're not permitted to benefit from the act of Shabbos. Right, Kedamon, as we just explained, because we compare it to Kodesh. Just as Kodesh you're not permitted to eat, this also you're not permitted to eat. Mandi Drabonan. So why does the other one say it's only rabbinical on a Torah level? Even if you violate Shabbos deliberately, you're permitted to even eat it. Amakro Kodesh He. What does that mean? It is holy. What is it? It is an exclusion. It is holy, but right? He Kodesh ve'maseh Kodesh. Shabbos is Kodesh, but the transgression of Shabbos, the result of that is not Kodesh. So therefore Shabbos is Kodesh, but if you slaughter even deliberately on Shabbos, what's the halacha? You're permitted to benefit on a Torah level. It's only rabbinically. Mandi Yom Drabona, my time Drabona, the Patri. That's how we understand. So according to the Chachamim, why did it say you potter? It says in the Mishnah, according to the Chachamim, you slaughter Shara Nisko. You slaughter for Avodah Zarah. Or you slaughter on Shabbos. The halacha is you don't pay Dal Veg. But if you're telling me B'doraisa, it's called a Shchita Ruya, you're permitted to eat from it, right? So why don't you have to pay Dal Veg? When the Chacham Ziyapot, they're not going on that case, they're going on the first two cases. If you slaughter for idolatry, or you slaughter for the Shara Nisko. Tovech Lavurisko Chovin, came the Shochet Bapur, the Itzelo, Idoch. It says the moment you start slaughtering a little bit, what's the halacha? The Torah says when you do an act of slaughtering for idolatry, the object becomes forbidden to benefit from. So the moment you cut, so when does the shechita start? You just cut a slight. The animal already is also bad. No, you're not permitted to benefit. Idoch kiko tovach lav demoriko tovach. So therefore, why is he not liable for daldei? You have to slaughter the animal of the owner. But if the moment I start slaughtering, it becomes an object that you're not permitted to benefit, the owner, his ownership is revoked. It's no longer the victim's animal. Because the moment he slaughters slightly, it's Yisrael no. Kiko tavach lav demorik tavach. Omar Rava says, it It's speaking where he slaughters it. We're coming to explain Reb Meir. The Gemara is asking a good question. According to Reb Meir says that if you slaughter the animal for avodah zarah, you pay dal devei. So he's asking, even if you're shchita sheni ruya shmo shchita, but factually you're not slaughtering the animal of the original owner, because the moment you start slaughtering, it's no longer his. On that he answered. The person says, he only said, when I complete the act of slaughtering, that's what I'm doing for avodah zarah. Sharan Nisko lavdi dehu. This is a phenomenal question. What if Sharan Nisko says, Rameir says that if you go and slaughter the Sharan Nisko, you pay dal devei, but Sharan Nisko doesn't belong to the owner. Sharan Nisko lavdi dehu de kotovach. Omerab hochmei skinim go shemosel l'shomer. Hear this? Originally, the person gave over the animal to a shomer, to a custodian to watch it. V'hizid based shomer, and when it was under the supervision of the shomer, the animal went and damaged. We killed the person, right? Shomer killed. V'nigma dina b'beis shomer, and the animal, the verdict was given when it was still under the custodianship of the shomer. Uganovo gana beis shomer, and somebody stole it from the house of the shomer. Listen to the story here. Interesting. So the animal already was became a shor niskal in the domain of the shomer. The animal, and the verdict was given in court. The animal has to be stoned, but it happened under the watch of the shomer. Now listen to this. Rameir sova lo Reb Yaakov. Rameir holds like Reb Yaakov. Sova lo Reb Shimon. Sova lo Reb Yaakov. What does that mean? Let's say after it becomes a shor nisko, he returns it to the owner. Normally, a shomer has liability. Here, the animal was judged to be stoned. So, what's its value? It's worthless. Now, does he have a liability to pay the original owner, or he could return the animal, although he's returning an animal that's worthless? If you're of the opinion that hezek shein nikolosh mehezek, that's something that's been devalued, but it's not in the physical sense, it's only halachic sense, he could say, so take your animal back. The person takes the animal can't say, but you give me back something that's worthless. Because you gave me an animal, give me back the animal. So therefore, if you look, somebody goes and steals the animal from the shomer. So when he stole from the shomer, what was the value of the animal? The value of the animal was what? If I have the animal to return, then there's no liability for the shomer, because I have something to give you back. What happens if the animal would die? Now the shomer has to pay. He has to pay the original owner because he's not returning an animal. So if a thief steals it from the shomer, what is he doing? He's stealing the object, the animal, then now he has to pay out of his own pocket. So therefore, which means he's slaughtering himself. Rameir's of the opinion that if you deal with Malchus and Momon, you pay both. But over here, it's Mesum Mishalim Leslake. V'shani Hani the Chidushu Shechitcha Torah B'Knas. Avagav the Mikdal Mishalim. He holds that there's a Chidush by Knas. Yeah, what is it like this? Where do we learn out Kim Leim Ramni from? It says two people are fighting to the death, and they hit a pregnant woman. So it says if she miscarries, they have to pay for the value of the fetuses. What about if the woman dies? They don't pay. Now, that means you're absolved, because since there's the death penalty for killing the woman, the Torah says you're absolved from the lesser liability. When you pay for the fetuses, is that called a monetary payment or a penalty? That's monetary. That's restitution. When a person rapes a woman or slaughters the animal on Shabbos, that you have to pay, is that restitution or is that kanas? That's penalty. That's what Rameir says, that if a man has relations with his own daughter, you pay what? You pay kanas. But Rameir holds kimlei mijamine, right? He says that's what it's momen and misa. If it's it's restitution and death penalty, you're absolved from restitution. But over here, we're not talking restitution. The payment you're making over here is 4 or 5 times the value. That's not restitution. That's penalty. Shani hani the chidushu shechitcha Torah b'knas avogav the komiktel mishalim. Was the Rabbi Latami Dom Rabbi Hoyegdi Gonovlo? Listen to the story. Utvacha b'Shabbos. Rabbi says that if a person steals a goat and he slaughters it on Shabbos Chayav, He has to pay for the animal, for stealing the animal, because when he stole the animal, he's liable as a thief, right? So what about Gona v'tovach b'Shabbos potter? What about he stole and he slaughtered on Shabbos? He's potter shein geneva, shim ein geneva ein tvicha. Of course, there's no liability for stealing. There's no liability for what? For slaughtering. Vein mechira. Now, what's the case where he stole it? Let's say he took the sheep. Let's say I pick up the sheep and I throw it over I chase it into Rosh Hashanah. Rashi says, what's the case? Yeah. 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 Okay. Further. Okay. Because main gedei vein tvicho, vein mechiro. Omer Rabba hoygni gonov lo utvocho b'machteres. Let's say a person steals a sheep, and now he goes into a machteres. He stole a sheep from before, and then if a person tunnels into a house, what's his status? He's a rodef. You're allowed to kill him in the tunnel. He stole a sheep, and he goes into a tunnel as he's tunneling to a house, and he has the sheep there. And he slaughters the sheep in the tunnel. What's the halacha? He does not pay Daled Bay. Why? Because at the time when he slaughtered the sheep, he had the death penalty over his head. Because the owner of the house, if he caught him in the tunnel, he could have shot him, he could have killed him in the tunnel. So he has death penalty simultaneous when he slaughters the animal. What about Gona v'Tovch? He stole the animal out of the house and he's going out of the house into the tunnel. Potter, Sheben Geneva and Tvicha, Bein Mechira, Utsrich. What do we need both cases? Diashmin and Shabbos, Mishum Disur Isur Olam. When would you say Kim Le Midrabine? Because Shabbos, it's not a circumstance. It's continuous. Every Shabbos, the halach is if you violate Shabbos, you're liable for the death penalty. Teres Disur Shohu. Why? Bachteres is only for that moment. The moment you're in the tunnel, so then you consider a rodef. The moment you leave the tunnel, you're not a rodef any longer, right? Avo Shabbos boy hasro emolo tzricho. Yeah. 1 second. Kolzman sheyidu olav shechilu Shabbos yimisu bez nehilkoch chamir misa diser sho yilo mishkach lo, right? Hoysa poro. Yeah. What's that? Okay, further. Omra Popo. Hoysa poro genuvalo. A person steals a cow. V'tovcho b'Shabbos. He slaughters it on Shabbos. Chayiv. What he's chayiv for what? He's liable for stealing the animal, but he's potter from paying the 4 and 5. He steals the animal on Friday, and then he goes and what? And he slaughters the animal on Shabbos. So for stealing the animal on Friday, that he's liable. But when he slaughters it, he kills the animal on Shabbos, that he's potter. What about he borrowed an animal? So he's a shomer. He borrowed it. So a borrower has full liability. B'tovcha b'Shabbos, and he goes and slaughters it on Shabbos. Potter. Because when did the liability come about? When he killed it. If he steals it. So when was the financial liability? When he stole it. But if he as a borrower, when does the liability come about? When something happens to the animal. So when did it happen to the animal? When he killed the animal. So, and since he killed the animal on Shabbos, so the financial liability and the death penalty were the same act when he slaughtered the borrower. Haisbar Shulov 12 Kusha Potter. Omale Ravach Bredu Rabba Rashi Rapapa Poro Oslashminon. I mean, what is he coming to tell me? He's telling me what, before we spoke about this already, he's coming to tell what, because it's a cow? Omale Papa Shula Oslashminon. He says, no, I'm telling you a chidush in a borrowed cow, where he was a shomer, he borrowed it. So that since Rav Papa said from the time you take it into your possession, you have an obligation to feed the animal, so maybe I'd say the liability already is from the time that you took it. So therefore, if you slaughter it later, the financial liability is immediately. That's the chiddush. That if he goes and he borrows the animal, he slaughters it on Shabbos, when was the financial liability? When he killed it. It's not when he borrowed it. What time do you have? Okay, got plenty of time. Let's put the clock back. Okay. Omar Rovo. I mean, what's the chiddush? This is the chiddush. You could say like this. There's two ways to see it. I borrow an animal. When you borrow something, we say really you have full financial obligation now. However, if you return the animal, then you're absolved from your financial obligation. You have the question. When you take a cow as a borrower, the Torah says you fully have to reimburse the owner of the cow. What is the reimbursement when you return the cow? So if that's the case, if he slaughters the cow on Shabbos, you'd have to pay full value of the cow, because the financial obligation came immediately when you took it. Rav Papa says, no, that's not the way it works. Although you have an obligation to feed the cow immediately, as if it's your own cow, but when does the financial liability come about? If the cow dies. So if he slaughters the cow on Shabbos, when was the financial liability? With the slaughtering. So since the act of slaughtering also brought about the liability of the death penalty, so therefore, since the act brought about a greater liability, you're absolved from the lesser liability. That's a Rav Papa's chiddush. Okay? Omar Ravo, the father borrowed a cow. Let's say a man borrows a cow for a year, then he dies after 2 months. So the children could use that cow for another 10 months. Why? Because as a borrower, he has a right to use the cow at what? For a year. Mesa, hear this? What happens now if the cow dies? In that domain. Here, they don't have to pay. They don't have to pay. Why don't they have to pay? Because who accepted the liability upon themselves? The father. They're not the borrowers. They have a right to use the cow. Why? Because they have all the rights of the father. But the liabilities of the father, they don't have the liabilities of the father. Because the father, when he took it, he took that obligation upon himself. Yeah? Again. The father left in his estate a borrowed cow. So the children are permitted to use the cow all the period of time that it's borrowed. Mesa, if the animal dies, the father, if the father was still alive, he'd have to pay full liability. What about if they thought, they didn't know it was a stolen, it was a borrowed cow. They thought it was their father's. And they slaughter it and they ate the meat. They pay the value of the meat at the cheapest price. Why do they pay that? Because now they're no worse than, it's a mazik. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. What about if the father left? There was a lien. When the father took the cow, there was a lien on the property. You hear the case? So therefore, the estate is liened to the value of the cow. So the lien already is from the father's time. Then they have to pay full value. For the cow. Right? Right. They have to pay full value.
This isn't a situation where they slaughtered it
and ate it. But they ate it. Because the father said if the cow was not returned, then the land is liened to the value of the cow. So the land is already liened from the father's lifetime. Ikdamasla Reisha, Ikdamasla Seif. Some learn the statement going on the opening case, and some on the closing. Madamasla Seif, a ratio. The one who learns it going on the ratio, that's where the cow just died. Koshkim Aseifa, definitely. Or Plig the Rapapa, they're arguing Rapapa. Why? Because they hold that what? That when is the liability? The moment you borrow it, the liability is immediate. Madamasla Seifa, al ratio low, bind the Rapapa. Bishlam Rabbi Yochanan Loma Karesh Lokish. Rabbi Yochanan learned, how did he reconcile the two, the Mishnah in Makos and the Mishnah in the Mishnah says here, if a person goes and rapes his sister, you pay knas. The Mishnah in Makos that says you get malchus, how did Rabbi Yochanan reconcile? He said, no problem. Our Mishnah speak without hasra. He wasn't forewarned, so you pay knas. The Mishnah in Makos that says you pay knas, it's speaking where he was forewarned. That's how we answered. Of course, we say whenever you have malchus and mammon, you get malchus and no mammon. But if you're not forewarned, you don't get malchus. Reish Lakish said it's going like a Rameir. It's going like a Rameir that you get both. You get malchus and mammon. So Mara says, Bishloma, the Mara says, Bishloma Rabbi Yochanan Markesh Lakish to Kimlo Rabbanon. We hold like the Rabbanon, that we hold Loke Ve'enu Mishalim. And we Shemai Tamad Omak Rabbi Yochanan. Why doesn't Reish Lakish hold like Rabbi Yochanan? That was the differentiation is if you're forewarned or not. If you're not forewarned, you pay knas. If you're forewarned, you don't pay knas. Now it's interesting. What's the halacha? If a person goes and he inadvertently violates Shabbos, and when he does the act of violating Shabbos, he had a monetary liability. So factually, he's not being put to death. Is he absolved from the lesser liability? We're in the case where he's not being put to death. To be put to death, you have to be forewarned on Shabbos. Let's say a person goes and he bites the fruit off the tree. So he does two things simultaneously. He's stealing and he's reaping. But he wasn't forewarned. So he's not going to be put to death. In that case, does he have a monetary liability? Okay? We hold, like Chizkiah says, that since theoretically, if he would have been forewarned, the court couldn't enforce the lesser liability because he'd be put to death. So since the action itself, if all the criteria were met, he would not have the lesser liability. Under no circumstance does he have the lesser liability. That's by Misa and Mammon. That's by Shabbos. What about if it's only a lav? There's no question. If you're forewarned, you get malchus. You're not forewarned, you don't get malchus. But do we apply the same principle? Since theoretically, if you would have been forewarned, you get malchus, does that absolve you from the lesser liability of Mammon? Or we say no. Only if actually getting malchus, that's when you're absolved from the lesser liability. I mean, do we equate malchus and Mammon to Misa and Mammon? That's the discussion, okay? So that's the more wants to say. V'azar Reb l'tamayu. Holchi, the chiyosar Reb Dimi Omer chayv Misa Shogin, v'chayv malchus Shogin. You hear this? Whether it's chayv Misa Shogin. If a person does something which under deliberately and being forewarned, it would carry the death penalty. But he does it inadvertently. Or a person, if he would be forewarned, he get malchus, but he wasn't forewarned. Davar echod. The davar acher, Rabbi Yochanan mechayiv. Rabbi Yochanan says yechayiv. Yechayiv. Reish Lakish Shama poter. Rabbi Yochanan mechayiv, the lo asur beg. Yechayiv, you have to pay. You weren't forewarned. Reish Lakish Shama poter. Rabbi Lakish says you poter. Why you poter? Kevot di lo asur beg poter. If they would have forewarned him, right, he would have been put to death, so therefore he's absolved. Therefore, kilo asur bei nami potur. Even if he was not forewarned, we treat it because of the stringency of the action. There's no less liability. Eiser Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan. So Reish Lakish Eiser Rabbi Yochanan. We're saying that's the machlokus. Eiser Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. It says if two people are fighting and they hit a woman, a pregnant woman, and they cause her to miscarry. So it says if there was not a tragedy, you pay the value of the fetuses. That's what the Torah says. So what does that mean? My love, osod mamish. So it seems to be, when are you absolved? Right? When are you absolved? It says, im lo osod. But it seems to be, if the woman died, you don't pay. Which seems to be, even if you were not forewarned. We'll say, Reish Lakish holds, even a case where the person is not being put to death, you're absolved from the financial liability. Right? He says, I'll prove it to you, Reish Lakish says. It says in the Torah, two people are fighting, and they hit a pregnant woman, she miscarries, and she didn't die, only then do you pay. Why? According to Rabbi Yochanan, even if she does, you pay. You know, which case? Where she wasn't forewarned. Because Rabbi Yochanan says the only time you're absolved from the lesser liability is when? If you're actually going to be put to death. Without being forewarned, you're not put to death. But in Torah, it doesn't say that. Torah says only if there's no tragedy. So you see from the Torah that what? Like he's saying, like Rish Lakish, that even in a situation where you're not being put to death, there is no financial liability. My lab, osun mamish, lo din osun. It seems to be, din osun means the court ruled the death penalty because of the osun, because of the tragedy. Im ein mishpat movis lenogev goch lo meso isha o meso v'lo hisrubo onishi onish ikad amri. There's another version. Eiser Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish lo yeh oson onishi onish. It says if there's no tragedy, then you pay. My labs, it seems to be din oson. It meaning that there wasn't a judgment that you're being put to death. You pay. Even though Rish Lakish is different, lo oson mamish. No, it means actually she died. Omar Rabba, Miko Lamadi Omar, Chayvim Yisa Shogin Chayovin. Right now we're equating Chayvim Malka Shogin, Chayvim Yisa Shogin to be one to say. We're saying like this. Right now the Gemara is saying the argument Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish is, who's the one who said it? Yeah, that just as if a person was not forewarned of Malchus, and he did an action that if he would have been forewarned, he would have been absolved from the monetary. We're saying that's the argument of Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. You got it. A man goes and, let's say, would rape a mamzeris. Mamzeris is a love. If you're forewarned before you have a relationship with mamzeris, what do you get? Malchus. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yochanan, let's say he was not forewarned. See, what do? You pay money. What do you pay? The penalty. Because in actuality, you're not getting Malchus. But if you would get Malchus, then you would not have to pay. Right? So Rish Lakish says no. Even if you were not forewarned, you wouldn't pay. Do you know why you wouldn't pay? Because anything on a deliberate level, you don't pay. Even on inadvertent, you don't pay. And where do we see such a thing? Because we see it by Shabbos. If you violate Shabbos deliberately, you're forewarned. We say, even inadvertently, you're absolved from the lesser, even though the person is not being put to death. So the way the Gemara said, Rabbi Yochanan doesn't differentiate between the death penalty and Malchus. In both situations, when it's inadvertent, you pay. Rish Lakish says no. Just as deliberate you don't pay, even inadvertent you don't pay the lesser liability. Even though in actuality you're not being put to death, in actuality you're not receiving Malchus. So Rava says, he says, is there anybody, how can you say Rabbi Yochanan holds that you have to pay? Is there anybody who holds that Chaybis Shogin, that unless you're being put to death, you're absolved? Chizkiya had said, we learned in the Beis Chizkiya, Maka Odom Maka Beima. Yeah, says a person goes and smites a human being or kills an animal. Ma Maka Beima lo chilak the Beim Shogin Beim Ezid. Just as a person goes and kills an animal. Let's say a person kills an animal inadvertently. Do you have to pay? We say Odom Muad Lolam. If a person kills an animal accidentally, never intended, you have full liability. You're a mazik. A person's a damager. So and the Torah is equating maka odom to maka behema. Ma maka behema, just as a person goes and damages an animal. Lo chilak to b'bein shogin meizid, we don't differentiate if it was done inadvertent or was done deliberate. Bein niskaven, whether you intended or you didn't intend, bein there you read or l'derech aliyah, whether you did it in a downward action. Or in an upward motion, lepotro momon. In either case, you're not absolved. You must pay. You have full liability. El chayvu momon afmako odom. Same thing when you, God forbid, a person kills a human being. Lo tachlok b'mein shogel amazing. We don't differentiate if you kill the person inadvertent or deliberate. Bein miskav v'shem miskav, intentional, unintentional. Bein derech yirida in a downward motion. Derech aliyah, upward motion, chayv momon. If there's a less liability when you kill a person, even inadvertently, unintentionally, there is no financial liability, elo the poaching moment. And even Rabbi Yochanan agrees. So we're saying now the machlokes, Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish is only by Malchus and Mammon. El Kyosu Rovin Omer Chayv Yisashog Kuli Almalo Pligi. If it's speaking about the death penalty, someone carries death penalty, even if you do it inadvertently, Everybody agrees there's no financial liability. The Pturin ki pligi. Where do we find the machlokes Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish? B'chayvi malka shogigim. If it's done by if a person was not forewarned on a lav, v'davarach Rabbi Yochanan Mechayov chayv misus. Why chayv misus ishkis chayv malkus lo ishkis? Because where do we equate the damaging an animal to what? To a human being? That's where you killed a human being. Where it carries the death penalty, right? Amar chayv misus ishkis chayv malkus lo ishkis. Rishlok sham poter. V'shribsa Torah chayv malkus. We see the Torah does not differentiate between whether the liability is the death penalty or the liability is malchus. Amar Abaye. One second. Hechon Ripsa. Where do we find the Torah doesn't differentiate between malchus and moment? Amar Abaye. Ask you Rosha. We have Gzera Shav Rosha. It says by Chayv Mises, it says he's a Rosh Lomus. It says by Malchus, since we find Rosh at both locations, just as by Misa, even inadvertent you're absolved from the lesser liability, identically by Malchus. Rabba Ma'asya, Maka. What does it say? It says by Malchus, Maka Behemo, yeah, the Chayv Mises Yalfino. The Malchus Nami Iskish. Because it's makeh. Omale Rapop the Rova, Hai makeh Elaim, which makeh? Elaim and makeh behemo, Yishal menu, makeh odom humos, halkatolo ksiv. That makeh means, doesn't mean you cause damage. Makeh over there doesn't mean malchus, it means you put a man to death. Elahai makeh nefesh behemo, Yishal menu, nefesh tachas nefesh, somach lev yishki ite mumba miso, kasher osel yoselo. We're going to stop here.